But I did when I talked to him. I had hoped that he'd be better off, and plus too, at the time especially, we didn't live too far apart. He did want to meet in person a couple of times. I never gave him the time, because I just, my life sucks. You know, my life sucks the way I live it, and just you don't appreciate the good things in life. That's for sure. And my health is not that great either, by the way, guys. I don't think I have that much time left myself. But anyway, we're going to be playing that last interview with Daniel. And then tomorrow, I'm planning to play a whole tribute. We have about 15 shows we did with Daniel Hopsiker. Everything from 9/11 to drug smuggling to Barry Seal to Russian oligarchs and Trump. Adnan Khashoggi, all kinds of content. Great, all the stuff that the people on this show love. I played the song Sonic Reducer by the Dead Boys because I'd run into some old pictures of myself on Staten Island when I'm around that age and brought back a lot of memories of my youth and my teen years on Staten Island, New York City, around that time in the 70s and the early 80s. And, it was funny. And then I read a comment online. Some kid is listening to one of my shows I did about the West Memphis 3. And she comments, "Oh, listen to these two. They sound like they've never met a goth kid in their lives. And they think that every kid who's wearing a black t-shirt must be a Satanist." Because I'm just so clueless and so out of touch. When meanwhile, here I am, when I, dude, I grew up in squats on the Lower East Side, Alphabet City. Okay, this is, and when were people who looked like the Dead Boys and people that were goth at the time were stood out. Okay, not like today where it's a fashion, it's a fad. 25% of everybody was walking around looking this way now. Okay, back then it was an issue. It was a statement. Okay, back then, even in New York City, when I was in high school in New York City, gangs of young toughs from Staten Island would get into their cars and drive into the village and beat up gays, okay? And it would make the news and stuff like that. In liberal leftist New York City, okay, the blue state, okay? Even then, in the 70s. So the positions we had to take back then for justice, for freedom, for personal equality, we took a stand for these things that now kids today can walk around and do this kind of stuff. We've had to put our asses and our necks on the line to get these things accomplished. So we will be playing a tribute tomorrow all day long. I have to do 2 interviews tomorrow, because I use the same equipment to record as I do to broadcast. So there will be a break in the day, but as much as I can from morning to night, we got about a good 18 hours worth of content. We're going to be playing of Daniel Hopsiker. Yeah. And I'll be doing an actual full show tribute just to Daniel and things I learned from him and things I appreciate from him. And more toward the end of the show, I'm going to be giving a little shout out to some of the others that have been on the show too that we've lost too. The list is long. And it's not going to get any shorter, okay? And what terrifies me is when we lose someone like Daniel Hopsiker, who is out there in this young crew out there to replace this kind of sober reporting and investigative work, real hands-on, get out there and travel, get on the phone, go move in with Bobby Seals, with the Barry Seals' widow. Go move in with her, and live there, and go through the material. Who do we have out there doing that now? Just this bizarre tweets and sus, this guy's a Fed sus, people have never met a Fed or know anything in their life. You're out there passing judgment on freaking people with real credentials. So, the name of tonight's show, God bless you, Daniel Hopsick. If I was a drinking man, I'd had to toast you, but my stomach is just so bad, I can't even have a drink anymore. But Daniel, God bless you, man, and we do love you. This show loves you. This audience loves you. I've gotten so many messages in the past 2 days. You have no idea. People think that me and him were roommates or something, or that somehow I'm in charge of his archives and his library, or, I'm making the funeral arrangements. None of that is real in reality. It's that... just like some kid can listen to me and say, oh, he's never met a goth kid in his life. Like, that doesn't exist in reality. There's what exists in reality and what exists in your fantasy, and it's just two different things. I just wish I could get that through to some people, man. But anyway, the name of tonight's show is, his name was RICO. He wore a cubic zirconian. And, of course, we're getting into the story of the historic Georgia indictments with President Mr. Trump and his gang that can't shoot straight. By the way, man, if only Daniel could have held on for another couple of days and saw that mugshot, I think he would have loved that, man. I think that would have been a great day for him. What struck me, as you know, I've been involved in a lot of RICO cases back when, with Rudy Giuliani, when they first started in New York. So I'm familiar with them, and I've never seen one so sloppy. And so this is the worst RICO defense ever that I've ever seen. And it's going to blow up in faces. Horribly. And I can point at who's going to do it. I can smell. I get hired to look at these kind of cases, conspiracy cases, multiple defendant cases, to see, well, who's going to flip, who's, what's going, who do we need to worry about here, and it's fascinating to me. We talked to all these guys like Patrick Berge and Everett Stern, insiders into all this group. And by the way, I have a big insider coming up from the January 6th invasion there, the insurrection at the Capitol. You're going to be shocked at some of the people I have coming on shortly. Really sticking my neck out here. But this is the worst RICO defense I've ever seen. This RICO does not wear a diamond. He does not own the hottest club on the island. He is wearing a cubic zirconia, and they won't even let him into the club. Who in their right mind, if you're at the head of a RICO case, that you allow your co-defendants to walk in there without bail money and to walk in there without a lawyer? Now, you hear these guys, Everett Stern and Patrick Berge, and they're talking about the research that they did on these electors all around the country, and they had files on everybody, and they're not on top of these co-defendants, man. That just makes no sense to me. It would appear to me that there was backing, there was resources they had back at the time of the attempted coup that no longer exist. That's what that tells me. Back then, they had Flynn. I don't know, Flynn's probably watching his own back now. But they had a gang of guys, Carrick, who could do the background, the opposition research. They don't seem to have that now to round up, to corral, to wrangle their own co-defendants in a RICO case. Just terrifying. It's a terrifying thought. Trump shows up down there. Sure, yeah, he's got a long caravan of Secret Service. By the way, too, it came out this week that Secret Service agents were in cahoots with the Oath Keepers, and had contact and communication with Mr. Stuart Rhodes, the head of the Oath Keepers. And we could look at. I've had his wife, ex-wife, and son on the show several times. So Trump shows up there, no family, no wife. Who did he have with him? Really, nobody. He showed up to turn himself in jail all by himself, except with his, some lawyers and some flunkies and some Secret Service agents. Okay, that's very depressing. You have no idea what it feels like to be sitting with open cases in just one court. When you have them in more than one court, it's exhausting. Okay, because the potential is there. You can't go to prison. You can't forget that. No matter who you are, how much money you got, how many judges you got in your pocket, how many lawyers, defense, no matter what. Okay, how many deals, insurance you got in your pocket, like Rudy's saying, that you think you can negotiate your way out of this. Rudy showed up there with no lawyer, with Bernie Kerik, who's got his own problems. And it appears that Bernie Kerik's been doing some cooperating. So what's going on there? I don't know. But Giuliani shows up with no lawyer, with no bail arrangements and preparation. Trump goes through a bail bondsman to post his bail for him. Now, I've posted bail for. I'm not a bail bondsman. I've worked with many bail bonds, and bail bondsmen are a great resource. If you're if you have something going on in a state far away, you have no friends there, you're not familiar with anybody there, a great resource in that town is to contact the local bail bondsman and say, hey, man, who are the lawyers in town? I got a friend there with a case. This is the judge. Who is the lawyer for that judge? What can you tell me, man? What can you help me out with? And they'll help you out. They know all that kind of gossip. They know all the lawyers. They know the people around the court. They know all the gossip. They're great resources. They can look things up for you that you can't look up from far away because they can pick up the phone and call people up. That's what they do all day long. Why is Trump using a bail bondsman, a local bail bondsman there? Why is he firing his attorney hours before turning himself in and hiring a local rapper, gangster rapper attorney? It could be, my theory would be that he's spreading some money around with the locals in order to slow things down. He's buying a stall in court. And bail bondsmen would have the contacts and the friends inside the courthouse that could slow things down for a few bucks and could lose things and could put some gum in the gears to slow things down. Okay? So, but to show up without your family, to show up all alone, and then when you look at that picture, man, that's not a pretty picture. It's not a pretty picture whatsoever. So, when we look at these co-defendants, let's start at the bottom. Okay? Let's start at the weakest ones. You got this trio here. Okay, I don't even know what to call them. This trio. Let me find them here. Oh, here they are. Trevion Cutie, Harrison Floyd. Trevion Cutie is a publicist tied to election worker intimidation, right? And they keep describing her. She's Chicago-based, right? By the way, too, the media keeps describing her as the former publicist to Kanye West. What they don't talk about, first of all, this woman is a cannabis lobbyist, okay? And there's a lot of shenanigans around this. They were going to make Lev Parnas, Rudy Giuliani's partner, and all that shenanigans there. A lot of things going on with him. But they were going to make him the cannabis czar of the whole United States. So these guys, they see what's going on with cannabis. She's around the cannabis stuff. But they call her over and over the former publicist of Kanye West. But she was the former publicist of R. Kelly. And she didn't resign from R. Kelly until that BBC documentary came out that made R. Kelly look so freaking bad that everybody quit. The lawyer quit. Everybody quit. The music companies quit. His agent quit. Everybody quit. And his spokesperson, Trevion Cutie, Kutti, resigned that day. His spokesperson and publicist. But what we need to know about this woman here is that she was working with R. Kelly for years. Every day when he had those little kids in cages in his apartment up there at Trump Tower in Chicago. Okay? How she was not aware of what was, when everybody seemed to know what R. Kelly was up to and paying people off and all this bribery and videotapes going around. She was working for this guy in the thick of that. And that's who's working here for Trump. Now, what she tried to do was she got together with this other fellow, Harrison Floyd, the leader of the Black Voices for Trump. Okay. And he's sitting in jail still. He's got his own little problems because he also had a little